Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Sammy, I don't know how we could recover after last week's show, but I am excited. I'm excited to talk a little La Tech basketball, Sam. Are you?
Yeah, baby. Bulldogs, man, starting the year off strong. And right now, the only CUSA team that remains unbeaten. So
Yeah, and they're going to keep rolling. But LT here, Sammy D. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Check out our Substack page. We'll have all that stuff and what have you. But let's talk to Coach Talvin Hester of the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. What's going on, Coach? Welcome to the Full Court Press.
What's going on? How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited. So we did this Conference USA preview show with two other coaches in your conference. And the name that kept coming out was Bacho. And I believe both coaches said they wished that he transferred out of the conference. Just saying.
I bet I know what school those were, too.
One might have been Sam Houston State, and the other one might have been Florida International, District 305. But man, he's having a great year, and I want to talk about him, but you're having a really great year, and it's pretty interesting. Did you know coming into this season, because you have a couple like really good transfers that maybe wasn't the best fit for them in Pittsburgh, Oklahoma, and Georgia Tech? Right. Did you know you were going to be potentially this good this early?
No. We're in the era where you got a lot of new guys, with 7 new guys, and so you never know. Talent is one issue, but togetherness, we're playing a team sport, and togetherness is everything in this sport. I was in my office right now, and I was just watching Drake pound Miami. And they play together. They play well. They're well coached, and that's who we want to be. And so I knew it'd take some time to get this group together. And, of course, we come in the summer and we start working and trying to put the pieces together. But at the end of the day, until you line up and throw the ball, you're just trying to figure out if what you're doing is going to work.
Yeah. I think it's working, Coach.
Yeah, so, everybody around the country knows the name Daniel Bacho, but I want to hear a little bit about some of the supporting cast. It seems like, Sean Newman's having just a ridiculous breakout year. Last year could have been his breakout year, but what he's putting up now with like 11 assists per game, like less than 2 turnovers with that. There's few people in the country.
Coach, just wait. Do you ever tell him to shoot more, pass less?
You know what? He has a really good feel for the game on his own. I live with whatever decision he makes. It's very rarely does he make a bad decision. He's averaging 1 turnover for every 11 and a half assists. So I'm going to live with it. Some people decide that, we'll go under ball screens and make him shoot, and he makes them pay. So we're going to live with the decisions he makes.
Yeah. So I look at stats, I look at analytics, and, what I see you doing this early, the first 4 games, one of the numbers that really stuck out to me is you have 10 players on your roster who are all averaging 10-plus minutes per game. Like, is that kind of part of your philosophy this early in the season, is to get as many of these guys out on the court, getting experience?
Early, yes. I got to know who we got by the time we get to conference. I got to know who is who. And so just play different guys and figure out who can help you and who's good in what situations. And that's what we've been trying to do recently. And it makes itself plain usually. And you kind of reflects on what you do in practice. Usually that's what you start seeing is you start seeing the same things you see in practice every day. And so we're trying to get a handle on that, and we're working on it. But, I think those minutes will probably go down a little bit for some of those guys, may go up for a couple of those guys. I really don't know yet, but if we can continue to keep playing hard, you talked about analytics. I still want to be a lot better defensively. We were better defensively last year, but it was different personnel. So I want to continue being really good defensively, even though we've gotten better offensively.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because I look at your history. I feel like you've coached at every school in Texas, and that's not a knock. And you've coached obviously at Houston, Texas Tech. You've coached at La Tech as an assistant. You were with Coach Mills at Oral Roberts.
Yeah.
What took you so long to get a head coaching job? Because I look at what you've done in your, and this is not an insult to you, small body of work as a head coach at Louisiana Tech. 15-18 first year, 22-10 last year. I mean, if you don't get 20 plus wins, it's your fault, not ours. Everybody needs a little pressure in your life, but you're a basketball coach, and it's easy out there, no NIL or transfer portal or win at all costs and all that crap. But tell me, kind of touch on the journey and how it prepared you for this as a head coach now.
Great. I think I came from humble beginnings, to be honest. My first job was a volunteer assistant at Division III junior college. And I just called the coach and told him I wanted to coach. And so I went and helped him. And I didn't know I'd be here 20 years later, to be really honest with you. If you had told me I'd been the head coach at the local NAIA school, I probably would have accepted it and been happy if that was my future. But I just loved it, and I just kept working, and doors kept opening. When you work hard, if I can give any young coach advice, is be where your feet are. Just make that situation great. I thought every school I was at I called it my Duke. I would go out and I would rep that school the best I could. And I didn't look forward. And then finally, I was at Prairie View A&M, and, a lot of people say you don't get out of the SWAC or HBCU ball. And we took a program that was last in the country, me and my boss, and we moved it up to where we were respectable. And my phone started ringing, and they were like, well, you want to come help us out? So I went to San Jose State, and that was kind of the beginning of me knowing that I was capable of one day being a head coach. And I was blessed to work for some really good people. And I know everybody brings up the Kelvin Sampsons and a guy named Danny Casper. But my boss at San Jose State is in the Hall of Fame for being a really good junior college coach in California before he got the San Jose State job. I've worked for some really good people, and I think that's a testament to who I've become. Eric Conkle was here before I was here. Paul Mills. I've worked for some really good guys, and so I'm just a piece of all of them in one, and I just kind of put them all together and made who I am.
Yeah, and two things I want to touch on just quickly. If you can win at an HBCU or the SWAC or whatever, the MEAC, whatever conference, you can win anywhere. Because I don't think people, Sam and I had a really honor of, Dante Jackson, Coach Jones at Norfolk, Morgan State, Alfred. We had all those head coaches, Coach Bussey, Coach Kevin from Morgan State. And it's just like what you have to deal with. And if you can win there, you're like a MacGyver. Like you can do anything anywhere. So I don't like that. I understand that comment, but I don't like that comment, and it's no disrespect to you. I think basketball is basketball, and
but you face more that program. It came off the death penalty years before. They had the nation's longest football losing streak. That's why I say that we were dead last in the country. Back in the day, the metric was RPI, and there was a lot. We didn't have 13 scholarships, and that's what you deal with, and that's what people don't understand. You think it's you all get 13. No, you don't. Some of those schools like Mississippi Valley is probably not dealing with 13 scholarships right now. So that's why I say that. But I do say this. If I was an AD and I had limited resources, I would look at those guys. And I would look at them because you're probably giving them more than they have now, and they're not going to complain. I don't complain here. I got what I got, but I've been there. So I know what less is. And so I'd rather be here and not complain than be somewhere and be complaining about what I have or don't have. So that's a lesson I learned in it.
Yeah, and that's a great lesson to live by. Now, the second point I wanted to bring in, would you say Coach Paul Mills is a good painter?
There's a story behind that. So.
I believe it. I've never seen him paint. All he does is watch film.
Yeah, well, you talked about your humble beginnings. He had some too. He actually painted the stairs at Rice. Wasn't that Rice at the stadium?
I heard that story.
He got paid I can't remember what it was, but it's like, I wanted to coach so bad, and it was extra, it was money. And he said, if you just let me sit on the bench, I'll work for free.
Yeah. again, like you look at my story, I learned from people like that. I
Mm-hmm.
learned from people like Kelvin Sampson, who went across the country to take a Montana Tech job. I learned from Danny Casper, who was a coach at Incarnate Word when it was NAIA. I took a non-scholarship Division III job, and I hired my old boss, Tim McGraw, who's here with me now, who won 4 national championships at that level. Like, I come from humble beginnings, and those guys have taught me to be humble and to keep working. So you talked about 20 wins. I just want to get to the 5th. And if we can get to the 5th, and getting to the 5th means I want to have a good practice tomorrow. And if I can have a good practice tomorrow, then that leads me where I want to go.
Yeah, love it.
Talking about I saw some video of your practices, and they're pretty intense. I mean, it's the guys playing hard, the guys talking loud. Like, I mean,
you told me they weren't intense enough, Sam. You thought they were like light and easy.
That's not what I said at all. No, I was like, I mean, because I like looking at those practice clips that are out there, and I mean, you can tell a lot by how a team practices, and there's just a lot of intensity, a lot of communication going on. Like, what's the message in the locker room with kind of the team that you have right now? Is there a lot of kind of unfinished business from what happened last year? And did that translate into kind of how hard these guys are working right now?
I think for the guys that were here last year, which is not many, I do think we have that sense of, but we don't talk about that as much. We talk about our attitude and effort, because you talk about unfinished business. Well, 7 of these guys weren't here. They don't even know what business is unfinished. But for the guys that are in the locker room, we love talking about our attitude and efforts. The 2 things we feel like you can control every day: the attitude in which you come to put the work in, and the effort in which you give to do it. If you can do those things in any aspect in life, you're going to be successful. You choose how your day is. I don't do well with woe is me people, because everybody's having a bad day in a sense. Everybody in the world's having a bad day, but you get to choose how you live your day. And so I just try to come with that attitude and that mindset, and I preach that to them every day when I get a chance to.
Yeah. You can ask my kids the one thing they can control, 2 things they can control every day. Sam's heard it because I coached him years ago. Attitude and effort. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
That's so true. I mean, you can give 100%, and sometimes you're not going to win. I mean, that's just life. I mean, it sucks. Life. And as a coach, you still harbor about those losses, but you can appreciate it. So how I really liked when you guys played UMass. We've had Coach Frank on the show, and we love Coach Frank with the Minutemen, stuff like that. I really saw you guys play, and it was really impressed. You've got an interesting schedule coming up. You got SIU, which new coach, we've had him on the show, Coach Nagy. They're going to be dangerous. You got EKU, you're in Estero. Got a game into it. You're at Memphis. I like that. At Louisiana Lafayette, Coach Marlin does a great job. And you play Grand Canyon.
Hosting Grand Canyon.
Hosting Grand Canyon, which is awesome. How difficult, with knowing you had the only returning all-conference player coming back, how difficult was scheduling this summer?
It was really hard. Usually we play about 3 guarantee games where we go on the road and play, lack of a better word, power forward type teams. But we couldn't get them. We can only get 1 this year. And so we just rolled with the punches. So I took the UMass game, which I felt would be a tough game out of our region, to kind of bulk our schedule up. I took the tournament, which had Richmond and SIU, and to kind of give us some tough games, because what I didn't want to do was just sit and one, we don't have the money to buy a bunch of home games that are winnable.
Yeah.
We're just not at that level. But 2, I had to put some people on the schedule that challenged us and got us prepared for conference. At the end of the day, that's what you want to do. You kind of want to know what you have before January 2nd rolls around. And if you don't know what you have, you're in trouble. I mean, you can walk around with your chest out with 12, 13 wins if you want to. And then the day you get, UTEP or West Kentucky, then you're feeling bad for yourself, when the clock goes to 0. And so we just wanted to challenge ourselves. It was very hard scheduling. We didn't get it done until September, which is very odd. But we tried and we fought till we got something that we liked, and we were able to like it.
Well, I say kudos. I think it's a very nice schedule, and I think you're going to face a lot of different tests. Just get ready to watch paint dry when you play Richmond. We've had that movie on. They play a lawyers. That'll be a good test. But I do like your schedule. I think it's for what you had to deal with. I think it's and Coach Hardaway, I mean, I've asked him before, he'll play anybody anywhere. He doesn't care who he's playing. I wish there was more in this day and age of college basketball. I wish there was more coaches. I think Coach Painter does a good job at Purdue. He's willing to play some, mid-majors, strong high majors. But I feel like you're right. You said the 12, 13 wins, and you're kind of seeing that a little bit more from some coaches. And I mean, some of it's, the Power Five's like, yeah, they're 8-0, but they haven't played anybody. I mean, Sam and I did something on our other show, College Basketball Weekly. I mean, there was like, McNeese played Calvary. No, UMKC played Calvary. They beat him by 100 points. But he can't get home games like you. Like, it's hard to get home games. So you play who you want to. You dance with who wants to dance with you.
No doubt. And for us, I think the challenge is getting home games. Like I say, none of us mid-majors have a pot of $400,000 to buy games. We don't. So if we get home games, we're having to take home and homes. And so I think the guys like Bob Marlin, we play home and home every year.
Oh, we love Bobby Marlin. We love Coach Marlin.
I mean, he came in, he asked me, said, "You want to play home?" I was like, "Yes, you're right down the road." Like, I would love to play within 4 hours because I think that's how we could get fans in our arena. If it's kids that they know, we recruit within 4.5 hours heavy. I know we got some people from outside, but most of our rosters from within about 4.5 hours. That's how you put people in the stands. And so we're going to keep fighting the battle, but we're not the only school struggling with this. Every non-Power 4 school is struggling with this, and it'll equal itself out. It'll level out at some point. We'll figure out how it works. And there's some smart coaches out there. I'll just find the ones the smartest and copy after them.
When you find any, tell us, because maybe we'll have them on the show. Because I don't think we've had any smart coaches yet.
Have a whole scheduling show, huh?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, whether it's Coach Huss at High Point, whether it's you name it. We can go down the list of all these coaches we've had, and they've all said the same thing. It's just, and it's this year. When we started last year, we didn't have those types of conversations. And I think part of the problem is people are building their rosters so late in the season. I mean, you used to have your roster done in April, right?
That's a great key.
Problem.
Yeah, like, these tournaments want to get filled and people call you. You don't know who you have. It used to be you sign kids in the early period. You kind of need about one scholarship in the late period. You kind of knew who you got, so you would go ahead and start working on a schedule. This goes into the summer. People are still digging out of the portal to after May 1st. So schedules are being done a lot later. But another thing is, like, we want to challenge ourselves too, but we want some of the bigger schools to come to our house. We don't always want to have to get bought for $80,000 and go play a Power 5. Come to our house. We'll do a home and home. Come to the tech.
Yeah, I saw Coach Kowalczyk from Toledo, and what he said is whenever he does home and homes, he always tells the opposing coach he'll travel first. And he says that just gets a lot more teams to play us because I'm willing to give up that home date right off the bat. So like, hey, Coach Hester, I want to do a home and home with you. You take the home game first. How can you say no to that?
No, it's very hard to say no to that. And then, to be honest, we took one of those this year. We were almost finished our schedule. School called us, said we'll come there first. We said, let's do it. And at the end of the day, all you want, I think every coach in the country just wants balance. And we all know we're not at this level. We're not going to get 20 home games, which is possible if you start buying 18 to 20. But when you're at our level, you just want to be half and half. If we can get 16 at home and 15 on the road, you feel like you got a fighting chance. You got to go tough, win some road games, but you should want to fight to win all your home games and go from there, and you have a fighting chance.
Yeah. I want to stick on the personnel on the roster, right? You mentioned, you used to know who was on that roster, months before you do now. And then you mentioned 7 new guys this year on this team. And, you've built such a great national reputation on player development, and players like playing for you. It's very obvious. And, the player development, I love what the growth that I saw from Isaiah Crawford, throughout the years he was with you, and what he's doing in the league right now, and battling an ankle sprain lately and everything. But is that harder to get that connection with players with what's going on with everything?
It is, because you gotta give them to accept you for other reasons most of the time now. It used to be you build a relationship with a kid, you start recruiting them at 16, 17 years old. By the time they come to you, you've been knowing them 2 years, 3 years, and then you get them and you coach them for 4 years. He leaves out the door. You've known him for 7, most of his life. But nowadays, you might have recruited him in high school. He goes somewhere, it doesn't work out. Now you're doing speed dating. You're trying to recruit him really quick and get to know him before everybody else does. But we just try to be real here. And what I've done is in recruiting, I've told people we try to dream chase here. Like, we've had 2 guys that got to play in the NBA in the last 3 years, and Kenneth Lofton Jr. and Isaiah Crawford now. And so, if you're good enough, it'll happen. We'll help you chase your dream. But my job in that is to hold you accountable for what it's going to take to do that. And my job is to stay in front of you and say, you're not acting like where you want to go right now. Your behavior is not that of what you told me that you want to do. And so that's kind of how we approach it. And I'll be honest, it's not for everybody. I'll be really honest with you. It's not for everybody. There's been guys that come in here have left. But I will say this, like we love the guys up. Like I spend time with them. I talk to them. I laugh with them. But we just hope that that's enough at the end of the day without saying, I had a good year, let me leave. Or, and I'm not quite there yet. Let me go find somewhere else. We're still in that boat like everybody else. And so, I think the most important recruiting now is your own roster. And so we spend a lot of time at team meals and just spending time together and loving up on each other. So, and I don't just do it with the kids too. I do it with their families. I tell parents all the time when I recruit them, I talk to parents because I have a 14-year-old daughter. If anybody has my daughter, you're going to talk to me. And so I talk to parents and get to know them and spend time with them also.
Yeah. And it's also interesting. You look at Balcho, number 13, which I still don't understand why he wears number 13, but I mean, he's obviously doing pretty well. I think for your future classes and future teams, he came back. Like he was 2 years at Texas Tech. He averaged like 7.9 points a game or what have you, 5.9, single digits. Had a really good year last year. He's off to even a better year this year. Yep. That is a huge down the road, especially in this day and age with the climate and the culture of college basketball. That's a huge recruiting tool and a huge recruiting win. It's like, why would he come back? And there's a reason why. I mean, there's many reasons why. And, we've had coaches tell us, and Sam knows this, that said the best transfers are the second-year transfer, meaning not the first year you have them, it's that second year. And you're not seeing that like it should be.
Well, if you go back and dig in Bacho's story, we were his second transfer because he went to Arizona first. And he was there with the old FBI, Sean Miller type situation, unfortunately. So he ends up leaving, going to Texas Tech. I think what helped us is after he left Arizona, where he didn't have any success at all, he didn't get on the court. He goes to Texas Tech and has, he shows flashes. He had some really good times where you're like, man, this kid might be a pro. He had some times you're like, he ain't got it. But when he came to us, it all came together for many reasons. I think the trust factor, I was there as an assistant with him. A couple of my guys on staff were with them over there as GAs. I think that was one of the reasons. But the other reason is when you go to leave after the year you've had, and you're probably going to be preseason player of the year, you're going somewhere with the hope that they believe in you like we believe in you. It's your last year. Had he probably had 2 years, we probably wouldn't have him because then he could have probably went somewhere if it didn't work, retry it back at the same level. But he didn't want to waste his last year trying to figure out who he was. He knows what he has here. He knows what we expect of him. He knows what the league and our university believes in him. And so he just wanted to stay and ride it out. And he's working his butt off to prove to everybody he's one of the best bigs in the country.
Yeah. Clearly that's the case. And, Conference USA is good basketball. So, have at it. Let them try to win player of the year and keep it going. But I really like the additions you brought in, like Cooper, Jeffers, and Abram. And they're obviously, reaping the rewards of transferring to La Tech. So that's good to see. So, Sam,
hope all you transfers out there heard that.
Welcome this public service announcement brought to you by LT and Sammy D. Everybody transferred to Louisiana Tech, the Bulldogs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, just how spread the team is. You got Bacho leading the team in scoring and blocks, Cooper leading the team in rebounds, Newman obviously assist, and then Amari Abram leading the team in steals. And it's like you have such a balanced team this year, and you guys are so fun to watch. LT, you think we're ready for the shot clock here?
Yeah, let's see. It can't be any worse than last week. So
Coach Hester, so we do a little thing called the shot clock. LT's going to fire off 4 or 5 quick questions for you. Some of them may be one-word answers. Some of them may lead to a short story here or there, but the platform's yours. So, LT, let's get it.
All right, we'll go soft and easy. One word to describe Louisiana Tech.
Family.
You were trying to use 2 words. Good job.
Now I was going to use 2. Family.
The biggest misconception of Conference USA basketball.
The biggest misconception is that the good basketball is going away. It's not good anymore.
Yeah, I would. I agree with you. Funniest recruiting story. Give me a good recruiting story you got from all your years of coaching and recruiting.
Okay, I'll give you a couple. I'll give you one good one. We had a kid when I was an assistant here. That I walked in with Coach Kunkel and I said, Coach Kunkel, man, there's a kid I want you to see. He's not really your type of player, but I just want you to watch him. And if you just watch him for me, he said, who is he? I said, Kenneth Lofton Jr. He said, Talvin, I don't do well with kids like that. I like long shot blocking type kids, He's kind of a wide body. I just don't do well with wide body. I said, well, Coach, let him come to our elite camp. If you don't like him, no harm, no foul. And he comes to our elite camp, and at the end of the elite camp, the elite camp had Damian Collins and Jethro who went to Kansas, and it was 10 to 12 Division I kids in there. And he walks up and said, "We better offer him before he leaves." I said, "You bet your bottom dollar." And to be honest, we didn't have to beat out that many people to get him, but he turned out to be a really good player for us.
Yeah, it's crazy how many good players don't have these 4 and 5 stars that are NBA players. It's crazy. Yeah. People get hung up too much on stars. But what is one arena you've always wanted to coach in?
That's a really good question. I guess as a head coach, I would say in Madison Square Garden. I did it as an assistant. And it was an unbelievable experience when I was there as an assistant, and I really enjoyed it. But to go there, the New York atmosphere, how it was, we were over in Nassau Arena, and it felt special when we played UMass. So I could only imagine coaching in the Garden.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, Villanova is probably going to open up, and they play in Madison Square Gardens. Hint, hint. So if you were an animal, what is your spirit animal, Coach? Like, if you were an animal, what animal would you be?
If I was an animal, I'd probably be a gecko.
Oh,
a gecko. I would want to be able to blend in any environment, be able to hide and people not see me coming.
Okay, I like that. We've had everything from a kangaroo to a what else? A largemouth bass. We've had some interesting ones. A dog. Give me the song that best describes you. What's your walkout song coming into the arena? What song kind of makes who you are or tells us who you are?
Gotta think about my playlist. A song that makes me think about me. You know what? I'm gonna go back a little bit, man. Like the thing that came to my head was the Eye of the Tiger. I think when it's time to come out, I'm laser focused. Like I'm focused on the job at hand. I can just remember Rocky movies and like every time that song came on, I don't care who you were. When you were in the movie theater, like you got goosebumps, like Rocky's about to take the ring, and that's kind of how it is with me. Like you could play that music for me everywhere. The only other movie that got me going, I don't know y'all don't remember this, a movie called Rad. It was a BMX movie when I was young, and so they had I had a time when they went to Hell Track. A lot of stuff like that came on. 80s hype music.
I like it. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I can get into the Rocky song. I feel like Golden from there was at Florida Atlantic. Michigan was like the son of the Russian boxer in Rocky.
Yeah,
that was a great movie. I was kind of interested in where you'd go because we've had everything, like Sam says. We've had every type of genre. We've had some we've just haven't expected. So I like that. I can see that Eye of the Tiger.
Oh, the Eye of the Tiger is also consistent with the philosophy of be where your feet are. you know,
be where your feet are, man.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, be where your feet are. All right, last question. So they're doing a Hollywood movie about you.
Mm-hmm.
What would the title of the movie be, and who would play you?
The title of the movie would be "They Didn't See Me Coming," and who would play me? Of course, no other than Denzel Washington.
There you go. I see it. I feel
like even Tay Diggs.
Tay Diggs, Blair Underwood, any of those guys would work.
Yeah,
but I want the GOAT. He's about to retire. So I want the GOAT playing me.
Yeah, it's surprising that Denzel Washington's never played like a college basketball coach or an NBA coach in any movie, because I think he would be awesome.
I do too. He's been pretty good. They might script it for Samuel L. like Coach Carter or something.
Yeah, that was a good movie. That was a good movie.
I can see Denzel from like Remember the Titans though carrying on.
That is
I like that. Yeah, I like it.
He's good. He's one of the most dynamic actors of all time by no stretch of imagination. So, Coach, you won nothing. You got nothing. Hopefully, you still talk to us. But thank you for doing that, Sam. You got it.
Coach Hester, we appreciate coming on the Full Court Press, a college basketball coaches show. The last minute of the show, I'm just going to let you kind of close us out, Coach. If there's anything you want to share with Bulldog Country or the community in Ruston, you know, anything they should be looking forward to this season, games you want them to come out to, the platform's yours, Coach.
You know, I just want to thank all our fans for even being there for us and being there with us and supporting us. We have fans that go on the road with us, fans that just are here every home game. And for you fans that haven't came out, please come see and support these guys. They give their all to this university. They give their all to their families. And they're fun to watch and they're fun to be around. And so get to know them as individuals and not just as basketball players. And to our administration, we're going to fight like crazy to represent our university in the right way. And that's it. That's all I got.
Love it.
You know what question I forgot to ask him, Sam? Who's the most animated coach on the sideline?
Most animated? Oh man. There's a couple. Jason Hooten, New Mexico State.
Yeah.
He is fiery. Like he is fiery. And Grant McCaslin, Texas Tech.
Oh yeah, Grant.
Really?
All right.
What? Grant is fiery as all get out. He looks small in stature, but he's a giant when it comes to his animation on the sidelines.
Yeah, awesome, coach. Awesome, coach. Well, we appreciate you going to stick with us 1 second. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. Check out the Bulldogs, Louisiana Tech. They play a great schedule, great coach, great players, great atmosphere. So check them out this year. We'll be watching for you guys and stuff like that. And don't forget to, again, subscribe, rate, review. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the Full Court Press, a college basketball coaches show.